Scott Telford.
Hi.
What is the best movie of 2019?
The best movie of 2019, Mr. Ewan, is Knives Out by Mr. Rian Johnson, because if there's one thing that I love about Rian Johnson, it is subverting expectations. I didn't think that stuff worked in The Last Jedi, but I think once you apply that to a murder mystery and something that is completely about a whodunit and a genre that plays into taking you for a ride and twists and turns and you think this is the way this scene played out, well actually it was this, and actually oh no, it was actually about this. That stuff was just one of the most fun experiences in a cinema, especially with a crowd that I've had this year. And I absolutely loved every single minute of it. And even by the end, to not spoil it whatsoever, the whole movie is a subversion for a completely different thing that is only sort of hinted at a couple of times throughout it. And the final shot, the final couple of shots, nail like this, like I said, this whole sort of subversive twist on everything that you've been watching up to that point, which I adore. I love how many different layers and different levels that movie is working on. And Johnson's just on another level. Like I said, the script writing of that movie is insane. It's shot gorgeously. Just recommendable from top to bottom. You can watch it as a straight up whodunit murder mystery, but if you like to get your arty-farty brain on, then there's way more to it in regards to reading it as a text kind of thing. So yeah, Knives Out plays into that dude's strengths, and it's phenomenal.
2019 was like a really good year for film. I had a great time in the cinema, going and enjoying loads of stuff. Obviously, there was John Wick 3 at the start of the year, which kind of really kicked things off. I love that film so much. It's so good. There was the heights of Avengers Endgame and the terrifying lows of Hellboy. Oh god. But there was also a film that I was definitely looking forward to for most of the year by James Mangold called Ford versus Ferrari, or weirdly called Le Mans 66 in the UK because they think that we don't know about Fords and Ferraris and all of that, which is a bit weird. But anyway, that film to me is pure cinema. It is absolutely stunning as a product. It's technically well produced. The performances in there are incredible. Christian Bale, yet again, on another level entirely. He is so good in that film. And one thing that I really liked about it was that it was a story that I didn't really know. I wasn't really familiar with the actual history of Le Mans and, the rivalry between Ford and Ferrari, which is quite refreshing for me because usually when I go into a history film, I kind of already know a lot of the ins and outs of it. So I was genuinely surprised, genuinely affected by the story. Even though it is kind of like, a big historical story, it is genuinely character driven, and the performances really help sell that. And again, I remember leaving that movie thinking, wow, that is just so exhilarating, so brilliantly well crafted, and just, yeah, it's cinema, it's pure cinema. I had such a fantastic time. And also I got to do that thing where I get really angry after learning about a historical injustice, and I came out and I was like, can't believe they stole that trophy. Oh my god, I hate the guy who played, what's the Ford man's assistant called? We're gonna call him Capri. Ford Capri. He stole the award.
My favourite film of 2019, there's been loads that's come out this year that has been like good and entertaining. So Midsummer was up there, which it wasn't originally. I didn't really like bond with it, and then it's afterwards I've been like, oh, actually no, I really like that. But the one that's actually stuck in my memory the most isn't a horror film, which I would have thought it would have been at the start of the year, but it was a comedy, which was Booksmart, which is just wonderful. It's just a lovely film. It's about two girls who are just finishing high school. They're going to college, they're going their separate ways, and they've had really tough time being big nerds, basically. So they're massive nerds doing all of their work, and they've got to this last night of before their graduation and realize they haven't had any fun the whole time. So they've got to go up to everyone and be like, hey, let us have some fun, let us come to your party. Because they realize everyone else who has been having loads of fun has still been studying and got into the same universities and colleges that they have. So like, oh, well, liberty, let me go and make that up for lost time. So it's just about this one crazy night between these two best friends and all the antics they get up to, and it's the most wholesome fun I have had. Like I was fully just like, what a lovely time the whole way through, because the way they depict female friendship is just beautiful and wholesome and like relatable for everyone. Like other than women, it's relatable to everyone. Just this bond that these pair have, and how goofy they are, and how stupid they are, and just their fun time just leaks into everything. It's just the most enjoyable film I've seen, and it's kind of like it feels like the updated coming of age movie for our generation and the years now that American Pie once was for back then. It's got that sort of vibe, but for a modern audience, and I just don't think you can get better than it for this year. Like the vibes that film gave me are unbeatable. The vibe check is it's a high vibe check. So yeah, Booksmart, 100% best movie 2019.
Well, I'm gonna be a bit basic with this one. Like, I'm a massive Tarantino mark, and I love pretty much all of his work. And yeah, it's gonna have to be Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because we don't really get films like this anymore. where everything seems to be formulaic and like a down to the T, where we need to be designed for what the audiences are going to react to. We need to make sure we get some perfect posters out of it. We need to get the right merchandise. And we need to be planning for 64 years in advance because, you know, we need to make sure that this is hooked into everyone's veins until they're dead. We just need to consume the content till we're dead, and then you consume our content until you're dead as well. But
you're breaking the fourth wall.
for me, yeah, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was just a nice ride, just to sit back and relax, and just let Tarantino take me on a journey through classic Hollywood and tell it how he wanted to, like frame it how he wanted to. Sure, he did kind of, like, minor spoilers, rewrite history, but in a way that he did with Inglourious Basterds, like in a good way. And more, he paid homage and justice to some characters and real life people that he actually was a fan of and loved. So for me, it was just also held together by the three main protagonists of Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio and Margot Robbie, all just holding the film together. And some very choice fight scenes with a, I can't remember his name now, but very, very famous fighter, John Lee?
Jean-Claude Van Damme? Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee. John Lee. Well, who's John Lee? I don't know. But
John, I got thrown.
The fight between Cliff and Bruce Lee might be one of my favorite just random fights. And if you like feet, if you like dirty feet, there's a lot of feet in this one. And they've not been washed for a very long time.
Well. When initially we all came to talk about it, I thought I was going to have a really difficult sort of conversation about all the films in 2019. I'm sure everyone will pick all the films that I've loved because they're great films. But we've done a lot of them now, and nobody's picked Endgame. You know Endgame, sort of as big as Avatar now, like one of the biggest grossing films in the world, huge deal. There was like 17 films that built up to it. Everyone made it a huge deal. Nobody even mentioned Endgame until I was like, remember the biggest film of the year? No one, because it was 6 months ago. No, that's fine. So yeah, I mean, Endgame, it's really important both on like an actual film level because I think it broke a lot of not only financial boundaries, but also like acting boundaries and what we could do with different types of films, and that things didn't just need to be horror or like a big action blockbuster. Like you could do stuff with Rocket Raccoon and people would care. But also on a personal level, you go like 10 years ago, and I would have never thought that people would have cared for a second about what Groot, the Guardians of the Galaxy, all the big space stuff. People now actually know about like what would have been dork things. I remember watching it and seeing all these people in the audience, and it wasn't just dorks like me. It was like people who actually had lives, possibly did cool jobs that, you know, weren't, let me talk about Batman's genitals for a couple hours a day. And I thought, man, like, it's genuinely brought people together. I can't think of how many families or like friend groups maybe came together over the MCU. So as silly as it sounds, I think it was a big deal for a lot of reasons. It's a big deal because now I sort of saw it and I thought, wow, actually, yeah, I want to talk to as many people as I can about these kind of things. And that's why I'm here now. So thanks, 2019.
How has no one said Joker yet? Joker. It's literally a country mile away from all the other movies we've mentioned. It's phenomenal. It's so nice, aside from Avengers, it's so nice to look forward to seeing a movie, go in and see it, and it be even better than what you'd anticipated. I loved Joker. I thought it was absolutely sensational. It's got like over $1 billion at the box office, which I realise isn't like a qualifier for success, because Lord of the Rings probably did that. But I had to get that in. But I just, like, it's every element of it is brilliant. The cinematography, the score, Joaquin Phoenix's performance, the fact, most importantly of all, that I can just pull out that Joker laugh when I'm with my wife and it scares the crap out of her. It's so, so good. It's sort of a weird movie in and of the fact that I enjoy it so much, and yet I'm hesitant to watch it again because it's really dark and sinister. And the fact that I'll go in now, rewatching those scenes where I think like, oh, that's weird. It doesn't really make sense that they're a couple before the revelation that no, crazy man's just made it up in his head. I think it is brilliant. And the fact it's directed by the guy behind the Hangover trilogy, I don't think it's mentioned enough. How on earth did he pull that out when he made The Hangover 3? For God's sake, Todd Phillips, you're a genius. Joaquin Phoenix deserves all the awards, in my opinion, and it's unquestionably the best movie of 2019.
Well, Zoe, my favourite film, therefore the best film, 2019, is Marriage Story. There's been a lot of good films this year, but none of them have made me feel quite as much as Marriage Story. So all of these other ones, these easy choices like Endgame and other such films, obviously did a lot of feeling, but lots of spectacle, lots of big explosive set pieces that cost a lot of money. Marriage Story felt like a return to really small filmmaking, like it could have worked as a play, which is ironic because it's about plays. And Noah Baumbach is pretty much my favourite writer-director at the minute. Him and Wes Anderson do some serious stuff. But Baumbach does family dynamics and people together really well. And this film, which has two of the best performances of the entire year, it actually probably has three, if you include Laura Dern, who will win lots of awards. Probably shouldn't out of the three, she's like the least. Adam Driver is absolutely phenomenal, like he always is. Scarlett Johansson does her best work, like in her whole career. I know she's problematic and she's been cancelled several times, but let's just focus on this film, in which she's really good. And the directing of it, so it's about a love story that falls apart. It is a backwards love story. It's like if you watch this and Blue Valentine and Kramer versus Kramer and things like that, you won't want to live. Like, it's just, you won't want to be part of this world because people can make each other hurt like that. Yep. I know, I watched it the first time and I was like, I don't think I can ever watch that again because it was too sad. Me and What Culture celebrity Josh Brown and former What Culture celebrity James Hunt watched it together and we sat in a row and cried silently, obviously. And it just like gets in you and you watch this awful thing happening and them saying awful things to each other. It's like, I shouldn't be enjoying this, but the performances are so good. I want more of this in my brain, not in my heart, because that would be horrible. But yeah, it's a phenomenal film, and it'll make all of the Oscar nominations, I would think, and so it should. Like, it should win them all. And now do the laugh.
Oh.